it comes to this inputs and outputs. So what is it that we really need? Planning, again, plans are nothing, as I say. No matter how fantastic plan you come at, you arrive at, you create a beautiful looking plan and a very detailed plan, that is of no use. You know why? Because it's going to change. Everything is bound to change, and that change is going to happen then and there. It's going to happen every moment that we are breathing and we're living. So whether it is our work or whether it's our life, everything is happening. The changes are happening rapidly and they're happening as we speak. So there's no point actually spending loads and loads of time trying to create the fantastic, most perfect, most accurate plan, because it's bound to change the next moment. So it's important that we actually kind of have something which keeps changing, and then we are able to adjust our sales according to the winds that are changing, right? That's the reason why plans are not important. What is important is the ability to come up with a plan, the planning aspect of it, the exercise. That's why they say that, and there's a saying, it's not the destination that's important, it's the journey. The journey is what is the experience, is the pleasant experience. Enjoy the journey, not the destination. Once you reach the destination, it's the same like everything else. Every city, every place is the same nowadays, whether it is in Europe, Asia, America, Australia, it's the same. They've got the same set of shops, same set of brands, same. It's too globalized nowadays, isn't it? So it's important you enjoy the journey, you enjoy the interactions, the experiences, living with the people, experiences, interacting with the people, and all that stuff. That's the important thing, right? So the same way, planning as an action, as a continuous action, is important. You need to do this because it's iterative, incremental cycles of activities. This planning that we're talking about in software development is not just done once. It's actually kind of a repeat process. It's like a loop that you keep doing. And when you do something, you actually come up with a better way of doing that. You add more functionality, and then you add more functionality, right? So you actually build up a much better, bigger product with more features, more functionality, more usability packed in, better quality, right? So that's where we, going back to our example of the e-commerce website, we are actually adding in more and more features, adding in more and more important things every release. So in the first release of November, we said we would actually go live with the catalog. And by, let's say, in February time, we will have the shopping cart functionality ready. And by April, we're actually adding the function to actually pay through the credit card online. So you're adding value incrementally. It's actually getting bigger and bigger, better and better, more and more features, looking better, feeling better, working better, because you've sorted out, as and when you go through, you're also trying, ironing out some of the things which are not working well. You're fixing the defects. You're making some changes to make it better. You're improving the way it is looking. You're adding more and more functionality, better visuals, right? So it's all about that. And it's all at the heart of this is actually kind of the three pillars of Agile. We're going to talk about it in the Agile session on Thursday. It's the three pillars: the transparency, inspection, and adaptation. It's all about doing something quickly and then being able to look at it, see how it is being received, and then changing it based on the feedback. So it's all what we call as PDCA: plan, do, check, act. So this is a continuous cycle. It goes on and on. It's a loop. It happens. It's just, Apple is not happy just delivering the iPhone first version, right? Otherwise, they would have been happy with that same iPhone that was done almost about 7-8 years ago. But they improved. They kept releasing one after another, one after another, one after another. Now it is iPhone 12, but of course it's not 12 versions, but a lot of more versions actually in the process. But then if you look at it, they actually have been releasing things every often, improving on the top, adding more features, making it better and better to use. Some would argue it's not better, it's actually getting worse. That's a different thing. But I mean, at least in terms of the business, it has reached, it's a $2 trillion company. It is the first, Apple was perhaps the first $1 trillion company in terms of the market valuation or something. So in terms of business, it's actually doing good for them. So that's the exact reason what we would why we would need to do this, in multiple cycles, whatever we do, whether it is a piece of work, whether it is some personal application that we're working on, or office work, or whether our own life, whatever we do, it's the continuous delivery of value. Check, deliver something, check, right? So this is what is called what is important: prioritization in terms of delivery of value. iterative, incremental, deliver, iterative, transparency, again, very important. Continuous development, continuous integration, continuous deployment. Again, it's the mantra of Agile. Agile development is all about continuously deliver something, continuously integrate, iteration. So they're actually getting something at the end of it, instead of the end of 2 years, what your customers are going to get in the next 3 weeks. After that, another feature. So they're actually getting something really, quickly and in a short period of time, and it's getting better and better as the time goes. And in the same context of e-commerce website that we have for the mobile accessories, you could deliver something in November. By November, the catalog, and by December, you can actually work on something and make it better, making it a 3D view of something, or adding more items to the catalog. And by February, you're actually giving the option for people to select and create a cart. They don't have to call you or email you saying, I want these. They actually create a cart online. And then by February, they can create a cart, but they can't perhaps make a payment. They would have to call you or some of the support team to make a payment through their card, through their credit card, or through their check, or whatever. And by April, you actually give them an option to pay through their credit card, if not debit card, right? You're actually making it better and better. You're trying to give them, in bits and pieces. That's all right. They're going to enjoy it because they know that you're keeping their needs in the heart of your product development, right? So that's why, if you really look at the whole value delivery, the first and foremost step is to estimate. And that's the reason why we did this estimation before, right? The last week. You need to first estimate the size, the effort, the resources, the schedule, the cost that is involved to develop something. And once you have this estimate, you can then prioritize. What do you prioritize? You prioritize the scope, you prioritize the features, the functionality, the requirements, the vision, whatever you're packing into the release. You're effectively prioritizing the release, when that should happen. And then once that is there, you can go ahead and design and develop and architect and test and deploy that, again, taking multiple things. And then once you deploy that, you evaluate how the deployment went, how the product was received by your customers, by your users, what are the kind of feedback that they have. Are they happy? Then they're sad, all of these, right? And this is not just one time, this goes on and on. In fact, this is like a loop. It should be like a cycle, the PDCA, right? So your estimation is the plan, prioritization is perhaps your do, and develop is also do, and then evaluate is check, and then act is again this whole thing, this cycle, PDCA, continuous cycles of PDCA: estimate, prioritize, develop, evaluate, in the context of software.